To authorize a payment gateway using Authorize NetCIM integration, follow these steps. First, create an Authorize Net account and obtain an API login ID and transaction key. These credentials are necessary to authenticate your requests to the Authorize Net system. Next, decide which type of payment you want to process, such as a one-time payment or recurring payment. This will determine which API calls you need to make. For example, to process a one-time payment, you would use the Create Customer Profile and Create Customer Payment Profile APIs to store the customer's payment information, and then use the Create Transaction Request API to process the payment. To implement Authorize NetCIM integration, you will need to make API calls to the Authorize Net system. You can do this using a programming language such as PHP or Java, and a library such as curl or HTTP client. You will need to set the API endpoint, which is the URL of the Authorize Net server, and the API version, which determines the format of the request and response. When making an API call, you will need to include your API login ID and transaction key in the request header, along with other parameters such as the customer's payment information and the amount of the payment. The Authorize Net system will then process the payment and return a response, which will indicate whether the payment was successful or not. Best practices for implementing Authorize NetCIM integration include using secure protocols such as HTTPS to encrypt your API calls, and storing sensitive information such as credit card numbers securely. You should also handle errors and exceptions properly, such as by displaying an error message to the customer if the payment is declined. In terms of key concepts, it is important to understand the different types of payment methods that Authorize Net supports, such as credit cards and e-checks. You should also be familiar with the different types of transactions that Authorize Net supports, such as auth-only and capture. By following these steps and best practices, you can successfully implement Authorize NetCIM integration and start processing payments securely and efficiently. Remember to consult the Authorize Net documentation and API reference for more information on implementing Authorize NetCIM integration.